Welcome into Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. I totally lost track of my brain.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Sahadev Sharma with my partner Patrick Mooney. We are your Cubs beat writers for The Athletic. We just wear the same clothes, okay, day after day. This is a different day, different podcasts altogether. Just because we're wearing the same clothes, it does not mean we just recorded back-to-back podcasts. Come on now, people.
Maybe we did. You know, we were overwhelmed with good questions, though. We had
we sent out. Patrick sent out the bat signal. You all responded. We got too many questions, so maybe we'll do another mailbag later in the week again. We'll change for that episode, okay?
We got a lot of logistical issues too with you. You're coming down to Arizona soon, and I'm leaving Arizona soon. So I was actually doing the sort of math today, joking with one of our colleagues that I think I may not actually see you in person until like April 4th at the Wrigley opener. Because you're going to be in Japan. One of us will be in Arizona.
Yeah.
And then, maybe the Wrigley opener. So
yeah. Okay. We'll see you then,
Win-win.
I guess.
Just Slack each other on Slack and YouTube constantly, but not actually in person.
All right. So you guys delivered with good questions. We'll get to some of them today and hopefully more later this week. We'll see. I think you guys, there's some frustration, but also some legit excitement. This one is I think a good question from Tyler Dershel. What options are there for first or third if Shaw or Bush get hurt? Seems like depth is still an issue for this team. I'm going to start off by saying a couple things, which is I think we got a few questions like this. The depth can't be like superstars or like really good players. Like that's not realistic, right? Because I'm not saying Tyler's saying that, but there were some questions where like, what if these guys get hurt? If guys get hurt, the people that you're replacing them with in all likelihood are not going to be as good. Like it's just not, but you do need better depth. Absolutely. John Birdie is a quality depth piece. I know he's not a big name. I know he's not exciting, but that's kind of what depth is. Like depth is a guy like John Birdie, and he can play third. He's played a little first. Right now, that is, I'd say, number one depth piece, right? At third and I guess first right now, but they're also, I mean, then you have like Gage Workman. We have no clue what he is outside of, we know he's a good defender, right? Vidal Brujan, big question mark, right? Former top prospect. I think he's lower on the depth chart right now when you have Birdie. Other than that, Nicky Lopez, solid depth piece. Fine.
Nice
That's
piece.
fine.
Nice piece.
Experienced guy. But Patrick, there could be more coming, right? Like it doesn't seem like they're done. At least there's a chance to add some more depth as far as backups at these spots too.
Yeah, Tyler, I think your concern is shared by the front office, the manager, and the coaching staff. Look, Justin Turner is a name that we've heard a couple different times post Bregman. The Cubs have looked at a variety of names from what I'm told. I don't know if Justin Turner can like legit play third base anymore.
Yeah.
But he'd be a nice partner for Michael Bush at first base. He can DH, and he's strung together like several solid seasons in his late 30s, and he is interested in Chicago, the idea of the Cubs and Wrigley Field. Kind of got mixed signals on Jose Iglesias. I'd mentioned that earlier of like, I mean, has been a fantastic defender earlier in his career, this like amazing energy presence with the Mets. His offensive profile, like no analytically driven team is going to be like yes to that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're very much, I'm sure, looking at their IV calculations. Like, not sure how strong the interest is on either side, but Iglesias is a name that, has kind of been on the radar. One thing that popped up as well, like Alexander Canario trying out first base. I think Counsell said, like, do not make a story out of this. Like, this is just kind of trying something out for a guy who's out of minor league options.
Yeah, I was about to say no options.
Like, yeah, that could be a way to help him make the team or stay on the team. In general, in terms of like the bench, Counsell addressed this. Like, look, Cubs have like essentially roll out the same lineup every day. There's not a ton of like platoon mix and match pieces. It's very much like this is the core. I mean, that's why Alex Bregman was viewed internally as such an ideal fit for this roster. But I will say the depth piece that is very nice is if Nico Horner gets back to being able to play shortstop, like that is a huge deal for him, his future value, his career, wherever it goes. And also if, in case something happens to Dansby, they can plug him in. And I think that's another, the idea of depth will also pop up with Seya Suzuki. I think we'll probably get into that later, but like,
right,
he's the DH now, but we'll see if everyone can post, for 150 games or whatever.
Has Counsell said anything about backup center fielder? Is that Canario at the moment?
That is a good question. I mean, Canario was last year. I mean, that was a guy they had talked about. Like, if we don't sign Bellinger, we could always put Canario out there.
Right.
I think Seiya will work in left. That was another thing that came out, that like he
Makes
can't
sense.
only play right, like, and only give Tucker days off there. That he'll see some time in the corners. I mean, John Birdie's depth, he can play the outfield as well. I think he has played center field. I don't know if you really feel that comfortable plugging him in, but yeah, I mean, Tyler's right. I mean, so a lot of you said it before, like a lot is riding on the Matt Shaws and the Preco Armstrongs and the Michael Bushes of this roster, no doubt.
Right. So I just want to give some numbers here. Like, Justin Turner's a really quality bench bat if he's going to be your bench bat. Like, he'll be 40. He played 139 games last year, 539 plate appearances, and had a 117 weighted runs created plus. That's like, it's really quality. And if you're a part-time player and you give them that, that's great. Like, that is just a great player to have on your bench, great veteran to have on your bench. If you can get him 300 plate appearances or something like that, I think you'd be thrilled. Jose Iglesias had an insane season last year, a 137 weighted runs created plus. He's always been a great defender. Career high, according to Fangraphs, 2.5 WAR. Okay, but he's not that type of offensive player. That's not happening again. 382 BABIP. Like, it's just not happening again, right? I mean, really good defender. What you're getting with the glove. My guess is that offense goes back to what it's been pretty much for his career, which is like his career is 90 weighted runs created plus. So below average bat. I know Counsell loves offense. I mean, loves defense and will play a guy if purely for their defense. I don't know. I think you want, like, I think I'd like to see a bench bat like Turner. That's just my thought on this. You missed out on Bregman. I think Turner's a really good fit for what this team needs coming off the bench. I really like what he could bring. I don't know if they can get that done, but I think that would be like a really nice ad. I'd be impressed if they could pull that off. Before we get to a few more questions, let's take a quick break and hear from a sponsor.
All right, FT fam, collectors, there is a new, better way to buy, sell, trade, or display your sports cards. It's called Arena Club. And Kratz, I know you love it. The FT fam's got to go to arenaclub.com/foul to sign up and get a little extra something I'll tell you about in a moment. But buying in the past was clunky.
It wasn't easy. But now you don't have to worry about any of the shipping. And it's all it's easy right there. It's guaranteed authentic too for me, so I don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. Arena Club uses blockchain technology to deliver your card immediately. There's no shipping delays. You don't lose your card in transit. There's no, oh, my dog ate the card and now you don't have it. So here's a different one instead. So right now, 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul. Use code foul. That's arenaclub.com/foul. Code foul for 20% off your first purchase.
All right. Let's get back to some of these questions. A lot of Jed questions, right? What's up with Jed and Ricketts, essentially, right?
What's the deal with Jed and Ricketts?
From Cubneck here, we have, after hearing Jed's comments after missing on Bregman, I started wondering, are the Ricketts restricting Jed on 2025 payroll or future obligations after his contract expires? What do you think on that, Patrick?
I mean, there's clearly limitations on the 2025 payroll. I don't think that's necessarily a statement on Jed as much as the Cubs thinking that, almost 3 million people show up at Wrigley Field. No matter what, they got a team on paper that should win between 85 and 90 games, and that this payroll is pretty similar to what it was last year before Bellinger. I mean, that's what I heard loud and clear, that it took, an appeal or a presentation to ownership to get the Bellinger deal done. I do think the future obligations, there's a couple things going on there, like the CBA expiring after 2026. That is something the Cubs is certainly on their radar. I don't know if it's like determinative or like an absolute sort of like rule. But if you look at it, I think Dansby is the only guy on
potentially Shota.
Contract. True. Yes.
You're
That's right. That's right. Shota, we'll see what happens after this year. There's a couple different ways I go. Basically, Shota, Dansby. Jed was not authorized to offer Bregman a 5th or a 6th year. I think Jed's status is like a little bit of a factor there, but again, I think they trust Jed. I think he's running the team the way they want. It's just that they don't like to go long. They don't like to reset the market. Their only way they use deferred money in the sense of like mutual options or a payment, a portion of a signing bonus. But, the financial mechanisms given to baseball operations are not like that, overwhelming, I would say. It's like a payroll that's bigger than everyone else in the National League Central, not really commensurate with market size or keeping up with sort of baseball inflation when you look at where they were in 2019. So
right.
I don't know. What do you think? Where do you think they're at?
Yeah.
Now?
I mean, so I don't know what it is. Was it the 2018 season where they kept spending, right? They went out and got Morrow, Darvish, and who's a third one? The pitcher. It was the Rockies pitcher. While I'm
Tyler Chatwood.
Yeah, Chatwood. They got 3 guys, and none of them impacted the team, and they still won 95 games. It seemed like there was kind of a cutoff there, where Ricketts wasn't thrilled with the return on investment of those free agents. Bought into the, free agency is inefficient. Yes, it is the most inefficient way or very inefficient way to build a team, and kind of turned off the money spigot. Was it just COVID? Was it, did that kind of change his thinking with spending? I think it's a combination of things. And I think, like someone asked, how much did winning the World Series change the thinking? I think all of those impacted what's happening now. I don't think there's some like huge fissure here between Jed and Tom. I think it's the reality of the situation. And I think Jed came into the job kind of knowing the situation, and maybe it gets frustrating at times when you're constantly saying like, there's more that we can do. We should leverage the power that we have, the financial might that we have, and they're not. Like if they're at 210 and it takes special presentations to get to 240 for special players, it's kind of silly in my opinion, right? And it's his money and he gets to do what he wants with it. It's his team. There people have asked like a bunch of different things. Like the CBA thing is not, I don't think it's just limited to the Cubs. Someone was saying like, why are the Cubs the only team that are so worried about the CBA? Why is Ricketts so worried? No. This is most teams that aren't named the Los Angeles Dodgers and New York Mets. Like they're all thinking about this because what they want is to have in place is a salary cap or some sort of spending.
Or to know the rule. They want to know the rules in general, right?
Because there's a feeling that spending could be curtailed in some way, right? There is a feeling that, if we don't have to spend this money, why spend it? Maybe the rules will be in owner's favor in some way where they can get a star without having to think about a $400 million, $500 million contract, right? Now that could mean a couple years without some of these teams signing one of those 400 and 500 million talents like Kyle Tucker, but that's just the reality that it looks like we're facing, right? I don't think it's a Cubs specific thing. I think it's an owner's looking for ways to like, okay, what's it going to look like in 2 years? What's the landscape going to look like? Am I spending this money foolishly and I don't have to sign this guy to a huge contract and then I can go after big free agents after the CBA, after that's done. I'm kind of speculating there. I haven't heard specifics on like the exact thinking, but that kind of adds up. They're looking for ways to curtail spending. We know that's what the issue is with the CBA, like what they're going to butt heads about.
I mean, just two kind of historical comps here of like just a general feeling. We know like whatever sort of thing is going on, or like a trend or an idea going on in baseball, usually the Cubs like take it to an extreme, right? Of some of the like conservative, risk averse, like cost cutting, budget conscious stuff. Cubs usually take it to a degree that other organizations don't. That is just kind of a gut feel. That's just kind of my read on it. The other is like when Theo got here, that new CBA kicked in and it totally changed his game plan or like severely curtailed something he wanted to do. He wanted to do what they did in Boston of like just blowing it out in the draft and internationally. And all of a sudden there were restrictions and that had to change their strategy in a major dramatic way. And so no one knows what the next labor deal will look like, or, it's probably wishful thinking on ownership's part in terms of what they're
not
really
getting
want.
a cap. Yeah, they're not getting a cap.
But like, you would like to know the rules, right? Like before you do. So it's not totally, crazy to like be aware of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an inconvenience for fans. Certainly. I get the frustration there. And I saw some people kind of like suggesting the opposite, right? Like they shouldn't spend money. Like, why are you demanding that they spend all this money or that they spend on free agents? The argument isn't that they shouldn't build with youth or they shouldn't, draft and develop. Like, it's about doing all of it. Like, that's the thing. Like, that is the advantage of being a big market team with a smart front office. You should do it all. Like, the Mets aren't just going to spend money. The reason they brought David Stearns in is to revamp the front office and have a draft and development machine like the Brewers did, and then they spend. That's what Andrew Friedman did. Took what he did in Tampa Bay. He's doing the draft and development. They're a machine. And they spend. And like, that's what you want. That's what fans should want. Like, spend. Don't just spend. Do it all. The Cubs can. Like, that's the argument. It's not just spend. Only spend and do that and do nothing else. It is not the argument. Like, I want to see Matt Shaw play. If Bregman would have come, great. But Matt Shaw's fun. Pete Armstrong, great. I'm glad he's getting everyday burn in center field. Like there is a way to do both. And we can see it on both coasts. The Cubs should be able to do it as well. Here's a question on Seya Suzuki. I think this is I'm really curious on what you have to say here, because I wasn't there, so I don't have full feel for it. How valuable can Seiya be as a DH? That's an interesting question, because defensive value isn't there. Thoughts on the disconnect between him and Counsell? I want to know your thoughts there. What did you feel? If I can just say, like, from what I read, it felt like Counsell was going out of his way to kind of say, like, to kind of take some heat there and make sure that it's like, this is my fault. I should have communicated more, and be like, I'm the manager. It's all on me. I take the blame. Not some like huge like wedge issue between the two that like can't be resolved, or like Counsell had a major screw up. How could he not talk to this guy and communicate with this guy? Kind of felt like that's, and I'm not there, so I didn't get the full feel of it. Well, why don't you tell me and tell the listeners what you got from that?
I think you're right to an extent of like when the manager uses the word lazy to describe himself, like that's a quote that's going to catch anyone's attention. I don't know if it's like Counsell versus Seiya as much as Counsell is the one who kind of has to deal with Seiya, because Seiya would rather not be a full-time DH. And this all took place against the backdrop of the Cubs firing Seiya's translator in the middle of last season, which both Seiya and Counsell said that personnel decision was like unrelated to any sort of issue between them. But it was curious. Then you had Seiya's agent, Joel Wolf, at the winter meetings, after his Roki Sasaki press conference, is asked about Seiya and says, oh yeah, Jed's approached us about, teams where he might approve a trade to when he has a no trade clause. And I think Joel said that was a very small universe. So that has been kind of just out there. And then you have Joel also saying, when Seiya was coming over from Japan, if a team told him he was going to be a full-time DH, he probably wouldn't have signed there. So you have those things that the Cubs, Seiya, all have to sort of piece together. And again, like Seiya is extremely talented, a tireless worker, is well liked by his teammates. So no, it's not like it's some sort of enormous clubhouse distraction. But there's like a lot of stuff going on here. And oh, by the way, like they spent roughly $100 million. They invested $100 million roughly in Seiya to be a huge part of the next great Cubs team. Cubs have not made the playoffs during that time. He has not played like 150 games. He's not been an all-star. He's been good, no doubt. Seiya is good. But I think what Counsell said to Seiya, what he repeated to us, was like, people think there's more in there because they think you can do it. And like we're talking about depth and how the Cubs seem kind of thin in certain areas. Like, you've been writing this like from the jump. Like, you look at certain traits of Seiya, you look at stretches where he's produced, like they need that monster season from him. And like, so all of this stuff going on, to me, made it a really interesting, just dynamic to present at the beginning of spring training. And then we'll see what happens.
Right. And how valuable can he be as a DH? I think that's just like kind of, you touched on it, like Counsell, the team, everyone, like the organization, they believe he has like a really high ceiling as an offensive player, right? If like no defensive value from him, like if he can scratch that potential, which is like, I just quickly looked it up, 150 weighted runs created plus from August 1st on. That was 1.6 WAR. You do that for 6 months. That's almost 5 WAR, according to Fangraphs. That's awesome. Just from a DH. That's really good. If you're getting just offensive value, a 150 weighted runs created plus is going to get you MVP votes. Like that's an all-star, and that's one of the best offensive players in the game. Like that's so. If he can be that guy, I don't know. Like, I want to see the consistency. I want to see like. I really wish he wouldn't have gotten hurt at that point when he did. Like, he was crushing the ball last year, and I just remember watching his spring and being like, if he brings this into the season, this guy's a freak. Like everything was being hit like insane velocity. It was fun to watch in the spring, and I thought he was going to carry it into the season, and the injury kind of slowed everything down. But he's an impactful offensive talent, and there's no doubt about that. He needs to stay on the field, stay healthy, and deliver a full season. And then I think you have this really talented 1-2 punch in him and Tucker. And we'll see who else develops, who else. I mean, I like Ian Happ in the sense that he's a really consistent, solid piece. And then you have talent all across the diamond. It's just who's going to step up and really be impactful offensively. It has a chance to be a good offense, right? And Seiya is a huge part of that. Like the key, along with Tucker, those two guys have healthy, productive seasons. It's going to be a good offense in all likelihood. Last question for Mike Taylor Sound. If we basically have our team out at spring, what names are the most likely to be targeted, arm or bat? That's I believe I didn't edit that fully, but I believe that's a trade deadline question, right? And look, it's impossible to know what they need, right now. And we don't know. Like, I think it's really dangerous to say these are the teams that are going to be bad, because there's going to be 4 teams that we think are great that are going to stink, and 4 teams that we think stink that are going to be good. Like, that's just how baseball is. It's weird. We can't predict it. It was 2 years ago, 2023, when people are like, the Cubs have no chance because these 6 teams are going to make the playoffs and no other team has a chance in the NL. And like 3 of those teams made the playoffs. 3 of them weren't very good. You know, it's just, baseball is like that. Reliever. I'll say that. I will.
They always do a reliever, right?
I will put a bet on that right now that the Cubs are trading for a reliever if they're in contention at the deadline. Just that is for sure.
Yeah, you take that to the bank. I actually, like, you had said this a couple episodes ago of kind of, I forget what wise baseball person told you this, but just the idea of, like, you don't, as a reminder, you don't know what your needs are going to be in June. You know, like, we get all wrapped up in February. It's like, let's let this play out a bit. That is the spin zone version of missing out on Bregman. Like, I'll have flexibility for that. Point that was made to me recently, part of why, you know, we don't think the Cubs are going to make a major trade is, like, there aren't many teams that are just flat out not really trying this year. It's basically the White Sox. The Marlins. They're going to be really, really bad. And the Rockies are just kind of like a weird organization that they're hard to, like, categorize other than just they're an odd operation.
Right.
And so, like, I don't know, would Ryan McMahon make sense if Matt Shaw doesn't, you know, pan out? But would the Rockies even trade him? You know, I'm curious too, like, the Cubs were pretty healthy and pitched really well in the rotation last year. Like, is that going to continue? I know you're a big weather conspiracy guy, Sahadev. That's come up here in Mesa of, like, it could flip the other way on them, and all of a sudden needing more of a frontline type starter. You know, I'm interested to see, like, the Blue Jays seem to be approaching that sort of, like, 2021 Cubs, but they don't have the World Series title. That's a team to circle in a really tough division. You know, the Rays will trade with anyone at any time. And
I was about to say
with that. Just going down the list, you know,
I'll give you another team that, if they're out of it, may need a reset, is Seattle. If they're struggling, I think that's a team that could kind of need to shake things up. Miami does have pitching. If they're healthy, it could be interesting there. Padres, if they struggle, they may have to sell just to kind of get, like, move some money, right? Or like shake things up. Outside of that, like, it's gonna, like, you kind of eliminate the NL Central teams. There's nobody that, like, stands out to me. The AL West is kind of up for grabs. Like I said, Seattle is like in this malaise where it's like they just kind of have been there and they're good, not great. So that's why I kind of circled them. I agree with you on the Rays. If the Rays are, like, one of the most aggressive teams in the sense that, like, if they're not in it, they know how to, like, they make moves, they shake things up, and I think they're going to be good this year. Just because I couldn't name I couldn't name a lot of their rotation right now, but by midseason, like, they're going to have 2 all-stars in their rotation, and 5 top prospects that came up that are just like mashing the ball. Like, I think Junior Camanero's like a stud. Like, all these, like, they have all these guys that are just like really exciting and young, and they always surprise. So they had an off season last year, so all the more reason why I expect the Rays to be back. But yes, if they're out of it, they will trade guys, and they'll be aggressive with it, and they're always looking to make moves. I like that organization a lot, the way they run things and the way they think. It's like they're very willing to kind of switch on a dime what they need to do, and they're always thinking outside the box. Cleveland's kind of a team like that too, right? Always willing to move guys. Cubs fans wouldn't want their teams to behave like that. Like, I don't think you should want to do that, but at some point you may have to, like, make these tough decisions and be creative. Maybe that's, if Tom Ricketts is going to not spend 260 million plus every year, then maybe we end up seeing some of these types of moves with the Cubs in coming years. If not, and if they struggle, I mean, who's to say that they're not? We can't just assume they're buyers. They have a bunch of
be a lot of incentive to buy.
You're right.
To see them out of the playoff race in July would be
that would
make a very interesting season for us to cover. But
yeah,
I don't know. I would a highly motivated front office to.
I agree. You're right.
Deadline.
Yeah, they're going to have to be aggressive. They're going to have to get creative if they're not, if for some reason they're out of it. All right, Patrick, maybe we'll have another mailbag episode later this week, but that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to Northside Territory. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to The Athletic, where we are on top of all things Cubs. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Take care.